I think we can all agree that we've got some burdens that we've had to carry throughout our lives and that we've picked up through our lives. Some are much more heavy than others. If there's one certainty about life, it's that no matter where you're at, life is gonna love to knock you and push you down and give you a few punches. But what if that's the very thing that can make life worth living? There have been several points throughout my life in the past year that I like to call catalyst points. Actually, they've happened to me throughout my entire life, but I never attached an identity to them until very recently. The way that I define these are a time in my life where something goes horribly wrong and brings me down a few notches, or maybe even a few hundred notches. And in these moments where this terrible thing, or at least what I deem to be terrible, happens, life asks me this one question. What are you gonna do about it? I think it'll help you to understand what I'm really trying to get at with this video by giving you some context as to what's really happened this past year and how it basically forced me to adopt this new mindset. March 2020. We all know what went down, but it went down a little differently for me than for most people. Right at the start of the pandemic, my girlfriend broke up with me. It was the lowest point of my life ever. I had no one to help me through this very painful time because we were all still in pretty heavy lockdown in the US. I couldn't go to someone's house to help talk to friends about what I was going through. I kind of just had to face this on my own. And it was almost too much to handle, but out of the darkness, life asked me, what are you gonna do about it? I knew that something had to change. And so in an effort to change my environment and therefore change how I was feeling, I moved out of my parents' house into my first apartment. I wasn't really making enough money to sustain myself living alone, but it was a risk that I was willing to take. And due to persevering through that challenge, I was able to get back to my normal self again, but an even better version of myself. But even by this time, I still hadn't picked up on what life was trying to show me. I hadn't gone through enough yet. But the second catalyst point, just a couple of short months after this event, was the one to push it out of me. I've actually never talked about this story before on my YouTube channel, and it is my fault for all of it happening, but it was really painful. I had planned a trip to Los Angeles to stay with one of my vegan bodybuilder friends in his RV, and I was going to meet up with a couple other vegan bodybuilders who I had always wanted to meet. This was my chance to really go out to the West Coast where I always wanted to visit, to see all the people that I've always wanted to collaborate with. I was literally going to be living the dream if I was going to go and do this. And then I made the extremely stupid decision to make a video exposing fake natural bodybuilders, and I had talked about one of the people who was best friends with the guy who owned the RV. Yeah, I still have no clue what I was thinking when I made that video. Long story short, the dude who owned the RV saw the video. He sent me a very long text message saying how he was really disappointed in me, how he lost all respect for me, and how all the plans that we had made after I had already booked the ticket to get to Los Angeles, all of that crumbled because of my stupid ass decision. To be honest, I had never experienced in my life that much painful stuff in quick succession, and that is when it really all clicked for me. From this point onward, every time that some painful situation, that some challenge presented me in my life and I got over it, I would tell life, all right, what's next? What do you want to throw at me? Let's do this. And it did throw something pretty terrible at me within the next few months, where I had actually lost an extremely close best friend of mine due to circumstances that I'm not going to get into in respect for that person. But again, just an extremely low point where I was like, I knew this was going to happen. I knew life was going to do some shit to me like this, but thank you for this challenge. I started thanking life for this because I adopted the mindset of being happy that life was challenging me. In my last video, I argued that life is sort of this game that we are all playing. Now, seeing as it is a game, it's inevitably going to come with some challenges. I mean, in video games, isn't this what makes the game worth playing in the first place? Like, imagine if you played a video game that only had one easy level to beat, and then the game was over. That would not be fun at all. So why is it that we can't apply this logic to our actual lives? Well, probably because life is a really fucking tough video game, and it comes with a lot more emotions and influences. Better Ideas, which is another YouTube channel like this one, actually made a video recently relating video games to real life. I highly recommend that you check that one out. But something he said that really stuck out to me was that video games have a very direct path towards getting better within the game. Whereas in real life, you're kind of just thrown into existence without your permission, and everyone starts off at a different playing field, a different level, and you got to kind of figure out yourself how to navigate through life. It's much more like a sandbox game, but you have to understand that for most of us, we have the ability to change our perspective on what's been ingrained into us about life. So when a challenging situation arises, when you're down mentally or spiritually or physically, why not think of it as a positive opportunity? What that quick succession of catalyst points in my life taught me was that all of this stuff was actually really amazing for me and showing me what I'm capable of, which is having the ability to get over any challenge that life throws at me. And we all have this ability. And I really think that this is what separates successful or happy or fulfilled people from people who get down and let their negative experiences define them, is that successful people, happy people, there's nothing special about them. They've just adopted the mindset that, oh, these challenges are meant to show me how I can evolve as a person and become an even greater version of myself. And everybody has that capability. It's just that not everybody shifts to that perspective. Now, obviously, I can't speak for everyone. My life's been a lot easier than some people's, and it's been a lot harder than others. But what I've come to understand is that when faced with a challenging situation, perspective is the one thing that will allow you to hurdle it. Just even changing the intonation of your voice from, oh, great, another challenge, another sadness, another heartbreak, to, oh great, another challenge, another sadness, another heartbreak, is going to change your life and make life worth living. Okay, it's one thing to say this, but how can you actually start making this happen in your life? Firstly, and I briefly touched upon this earlier in the video, you need to let go of every negative situation that you're letting define you. Back before I had the many negative experiences I did this past year, after every hardship or challenge, I would say, I am now this person. I would allow myself to believe that I was this someone who was defined by an experience or thought or a bad habit that I started to partake in. Like, sometimes I do the wrong thing. Sometimes I'm not totally productive, and sometimes shit happens that I don't want to happen. But now I never let myself believe that that stuff is me. It's just a negative version of me that sometimes comes out. And this might be why a lot of you are down right now, is because you had a couple quick successions of negative situations and bad experiences, and you said to yourself, this must just be how life is for me, and this is who I am because it was happening so frequently, and then you get stuck in that rut. You know, back when I used to smoke the green, I identified myself as one of the stoner kids. And because I identified as that, I would start to partake in more actions that relate to that type of person, because I defined myself as what I had done in the past, and I had kept my picture consistent because of it. You see, you are the one that's allowing a certain definition to shape how you deal with painful situations and what these situations mean. You gotta let that shit go and realize that you've been given an opportunity to become better. And life would never give you something that it didn't think you couldn't conquer. And that sounds cheesy, but I believe that. You've got pain, you got trauma, but that exists on this earth for a reason, to show you that you're stronger than all that shit. So when something bad happens, you have three choices. Let it define you, destroy you, or strengthen you. Which one are you gonna choose? Just trying to show you all what you're really capable of, your true potential with this video. And a big thank you to all the patrons on this channel on Patreon. This is a platform where I'm putting out exclusive videos, blog posts, and podcasts you can't find on any other social media platform. If you want to check that out, it's patreon.com/Cole Hastings. The link is in the description. Hope this helped. Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comments. And you know, you stick around till the end. That just means so much to me. Eternally grateful for all of y'all, and I hope that you have a better rest of your day or night.